Good afternoon, kindergarten. Today we're going to work on your WDM prep for our data meeting. First off, let's look at your past success. So one thing I want to highlight, kindergarten, is your classroom data continues to grow from the last unit assessment. So today we are assessing Unit 4 Skills Assessment. Miss Ariza, you had 48% at students above 80% mastery. Miss Walls, you had 50% at above 80% mastery. Now, as we unpack and look at our data, first we're going to see it. So, looking at the exemplar, one student scored 10 out of 10 and was able to complete all questions without any mistakes. So let's take a minute and think about what happened. Okay, now I'm seeing Ms. Ariza, may I see your exemplar? Ms. Walls, may I see your exemplar? And now I have a know it, show it chart. So on my know it, show it, I say the students need to isolate vowel sounds, isolate medial vowel sounds, and isolate final vowel sounds. And students need to pronounce initial sounds. Students need to understand that words are made up of individual sounds, phonemes that can be heard and spoken separately. Show. Students need to identify the correct initial vowel sounds. They need to be identifying the correct medial vowel sounds and be able to isolate final word vowel sounds. Students can identify which sound comes first, middle, or last when the teacher says a read aloud. Produce, say the beginning sound. Produce, say the middle sound. Produce, say the ending sound. Decode and circle the correct word. Blend the sounds to read the word. Okay? So if you don't have that on your no-show chart, take this time, take 5 minutes to add what you need to your know and show chart. Now, how does your exemplar compare to the student's exemplar? Okay. And how's it compare to my exemplar? Now, let's take some time to look at a sample of a student that didn't do well on the assessment. And as we can see, the students truly struggled on question number 2, which was the sound van. We also see that they struggled on question number 5 in both classrooms, which was fin. So it's that beginning sound that they are struggling with. Okay. So what are the key gaps between the rest of our student work and the example? Looking back at our chart using the language of the standard and exemplar, what are the key misconceptions for our students? They're having trouble isolating the beginning sound and the correct initial vowel sound. So they're having trouble with the beginning sound of van or fin. Okay. So we looked at the work and we looked over it, and so we determined that was one of the things. So we need to talk about that. So we see it now. We see what we're working with. Now let's name it. So our key area is to reteach is the sounds. So what we're going to talk about is our gap statements. Students cannot yet identify which sound comes first. Students are unable to identify individual phonemes. As a result, they cannot blend the sounds to make a word. And that goes with that science of reading and blending those words to letter sounds together to make a word. So as we plan to reteach, we're going to do whole group reteach, and we're going to select different materials for the teacher to use as we reteach. So we can be reteaching during that U-Fly time, that first grade that you all are using. Okay. We can also be reteaching for our next assessment, and making sure, because they are kindergartners, that they're taking the time and circling the correct correct word, or not just going through and circling all at once. And that we may need to work in small groups when they take their assessment. Okay. So that's the do it portion. All right. So as we reteach, the other thing I wanted to look over is the student work. So Miss Ariza, in quadrant 1 and 2, you were 4%. Miss Walls, you were 13%. Quadrant 3, you were 21%. Miss Ariza, and then 3%, and then 6% and 8%, 11 and 9. Ariza, your class did well on question 5. 91% of students got the question right. Ms. Walls, your class did well on question 10, and 75% of the students got the question right. Question 2, Van was a concern for both classes, and question 5, Finn was a concern for Ms. Ariza's classes. The standard was isolate and pronounce the initial, medial, vowel, and final sounds in 3 phonemes, constant, vowel, consonant, or CV words. This does not include CVS ending with L, R, or X. Okay, so as we're going over it, now the reteach. We're also going to work on reassessing and practice the written letters and sounds. Push to further reteach. We're going to reteaching, incorporating into chaining. We are ordering you more chaining charts. We're going to do higher 16 working independent, and lower students working with teacher. So we're going to chat with the teacher, and I'm going to implement during U-Fly and also add to morning routines how we will test, improve, and master the next assessment. So we really want to work on that, making sure that they understand those sounds. Okay, NC.